girls and guys, continuing on with my thoughts on the new Masters. I'm somewhat familiar with the Resurrectionists. I've played Yanlo as Resurrectionists like twice, something like that. So again, this is really pretty much just me chatting shit, and you're more than welcome to contribute actual knowledge down in the comments. So we're looking at Reva, whatever her name is. Her backstory is a little underwhelming, I'm going to be honest. Spooky kid comes to Malifaux, starts speaking to spirits and other imaginary friends. Parents get a bit embarrassed about her pretentious bullshit. They ground her to stop her from embarrassing herself and hope she'll grow out of it. Some exorcist comes along, decides what the world actually needs is more pubescent angst. They break out and run around the streets of Malifaux, inspiring purpose and devotion into the living and dead alike, or some vague, shallow rubbish. I'm sure the writers will flesh it out and it'll all become clear. Reva herself has, decent defensive stats. Defense 5 is pretty average. Willpower 7 is very good. 13 wounds is very good. Walk 5 is decent. Charge 10 is whopping, considering she's on a horse. That's not unexpected. And height 3, again on a horse, allows her to see and be seen. She is a revenant, as presumably most of the other models in her box. Living, as again most of the models in her box seem to be, and has a cache of 4 again. It's a common theme among these Wave 4 Masters. And if my voice sounds a bit hushed whilst I'm doing this, it's because it's fucking 4 in the morning. Why the hell am I making videos at 4 in the morning? First day of the holidays is why. Anyway, I'm trying not to wake anyone up. Perhaps fitting for discussing this Master. Her abilities, well, she's unimpeded, which combined with that movement makes her pretty nippy. She hasn't got much in the way of protection, at least not in the way that other Resurrectionist Masters do, and the final veil is about her only protection other than soul stones, healing her when other non-PL models die around her, which if the bodies start hitting the floor pretty fast, could work out quite well for her, and I dare say they will, as she seems to hit pretty hard. Taking a bit of creative license there on mopey emo kids, weird. So she's got an ability called Forgotten Dead, which means at the start of her turn she can discard a card and summon one of her corpse candle totems. 8 inches is fairly good for a casting, and other than the general upgrades which I think allow you to summon guild autopsies, this is about the only summoning she does. So she's Summon Light for a Resurrectionist. And as we'll see, those corpse candles come into a bit of synergy with her other abilities. We've got the Strength of the Fallen. Basically, if there's a corpse marker within 18 inches in line of sight of her, she can draw line of sight and range for her casting attacks, a bit like Rasputina's Ice Mirror ability. And she can do this as long as she's not engaged, which I think is the reverse of Ice Mirror. And it sounds like she will have an upgrade that allows her to cast this even when she is engaged, and also allows her to place one of her corpse candles starting in what sounds like a From the Shadows-like manner. So what kind of casting attacks can my poor puppets expect to face? Well, the primary one seems to be Ethereal Reaping. Accurate cast with built-in crow and can choose whether or not it's resisted by defense or willpower, very powerful. And it's got an engagement range of 3 inches, so those corpse markers might need a little bit of a wide berth. But it's not quite as threatening as Rasputina's casts. It's got a pretty good damage spread, minimum damage 3 is always worthy of respect. And it's got a built-in trigger to discard the corpse marker, potentially that you are casting it from, in order to go to minimum damage 4, and obviously 5 and 6 respectively. With a mask you can push them towards a corpse marker, probably the one you cast it from. There's probably some synergy there. I don't know if you could use Corpse Bloat to do the big exploding damage thing. More dedicated Resurrectionist players I'm sure can think of useful things to do with that push. And then we've got the Crow Ram, which allows her to heal 2 damage, which is, always nice. Heal is always good on Master. Especially this one that's relying largely on soul stones and wounds, and doesn't have all that special, ridiculous other crap that other Resurrectionists seem to take for granted. We have a 0 action Life Drain, again casting on 6, needing a 4 of tomes, and again a range of 3, so you've got to figure out a way to get those corpse markers to places the enemy is going to want to be. It's an opportunity to do 1 to 5 damage. It's not bad for a 0, but you might consider Death Shroud instead. Slightly harder, needs an 8, and it's range 5, so it's not huge, but you can teleport to a corpse marker regardless of line of sight. And and then get soft cover if you stay in base contact with that corpse marker until the end of the turn. And there's a chance to do a little bit of damage with a defense duel, and 13 is a respectable number for that. It's unusual, this move, in that it doesn't discard the marker once you've used it. So if you set things up right, you can hopper between 2 or 3 of the markers and attack from any one of them, as long as you keep the line of sight, which could be fairly annoying if an opponent's trying to take her down. She's also got a tactile action, Look on My Works. Needs 6, no suit, and again only range 5. And it basically swaps out a corpse marker for a scheme marker, and then you discard the corpse marker. If you've got enough crows in your hand, you can do this to your heart's content. Sounds like something to maybe plan your late game scoring of certain schemes around. And I really wouldn't be surprised if there's other models coming out in Wave 4 that do stuff with scheme markers that will allow this to do a little bit more. I'm not sure the general upgrades really do that much for her. Spare parts can give her a bit of the summoning, but that doesn't sound like what you're taking her for, as there are so many other better options in the faction. Necrotic Preparation could make her a little bit more defensible, but it also sounds like you kind of wanted to keep her away from the action and attack from a distance through the corpse markers. So I guess the same thing applies to the unnerving and decaying auras. The snippets we know about her specialised upgrades. I've talked about the Guises of Death, which allows for that corpse candle placement and use of the strength of the fallen even whilst engaged. There's Beyond Death to give her regeneration, so I guess stacking with the final veil if things are dying around her. I guess that could make her a little bit, a little bit more survivable. I think it allows her to attack, forgo the damage, and then get a charge action. I'm not sure if you can do that whilst you're engaged. Presumably you must be able to. It'll probably explain it on the card. Oh, and Litany of the Fallen means her attacks. Damage from her attacks can't be reduced. She's going to make those armoured constructs think twice, I think, before going near some corpse markers. So in summary, it looks like she's a faster, slightly less durable version of the Resurrectionists beta models, and it sounds like she wants bodies everywhere. And if her corpse candles count as corpse markers and leave corpse markers when they die, that should probably help a bit, as well as bringing a high model count living and undead crew, possibly with a summoning henchman to support, like Tashiro might work well, so you can use scrap if the opponent's bringing a lot of constructs. I'm not sure I'd agree that she's straightforward, as the positioning of corpse markers and her in relation to them seems to be quite key, and positioning in this game takes a lot of skill. So yeah, I think she's interesting. I think she could be strong. I'm sure all these masters will be strong, but for now the most standout thing about her, I think, is just her box set. Her models look pretty good. Some of the better ones out of a pretty good bunch, in my opinion. Anyway, those are my thoughts, and I'll be interested to know yours, and I'll catch you on the next